meeting to order. It is about 8 minutes after 6. Today's the 3rd of March already, and just before we get started, I'd like to remind you all that there's a time change this weekend.
And we lose an hour.
Yes. Okay. Next order on the agenda, next item on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. Are there any changes or amendments to the agenda? In that case, we'll adopt the agenda as presented. First order of business is the turf project.
Perfect. I actually invited a special guest, Mike Kimball. He is here. He is with Wright Brothers. He's going to be kind of our lead guy on the whole project. So I wanted to turn it over to him just to introduce himself and for you guys to get a face with the name. And he's going to be helping us. I mean, this is going to be quick. So anyway, go ahead.
So as Ryan said, I'm Mike Kimball. I'm with Wright Brothers, the building company out of Eagle. I'm born and raised in Emmett, so somewhat local, yes, as close as I can be. Like I said, I'll be the PM for the project. I'll carry it through design and then through construction. And yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions about processes, who we are as a company, or anything about myself. So.
Okay, let's start off. I'd like to ask a question.
Yes.
I know that Wright Brothers Construction is a pretty large firm, so they have a section of it devoted or which does turf.
So we specialize in all sorts of various, I mean, we're a large company, so we have various sectors of companies all the way through. So we specialize in every little thing. As far as like the turf install and stuff like that, we will bring on Shaw, Shaw Turf Company, and they specialize in manufacturing, install, and maintenance of turf for schools from college to high school to NFL teams. So and they're a nationwide corporation that specializes in that. So
And they've done lots of these.
they've done a lot of them.
Have you done the whatever, where you go and study the football field and see what you need?
Yep. We're getting started. So obviously we've walked it. We've got the survey stuff. We're working on getting, we need geotechnical information. So we're working towards getting people out here to put some holes in the field and figure out what's below the surface. And then the design will start after they get that information.
So the design process is to do all this engineering beforehand, before you actually start designing
The turf?
well, what it's going to look like. I mean, you know, if you decide that, oh, no, the
No.
area is too hard.
No, we've started turf renditions to, that we've sent over to Jesse and Ryan already. Some ideas.
You guys kind of saw it. This is
So,
one of the ideas that they want to put in the center of the football field. This is on our main basketball gym. So they'll put that together for us and send that over to us.
so the engineering and stuff is basically what's below the field. And that's as critically as important as the turf to make sure that it lasts you guys for as long as it's designed, for its design life. And that's important to get done. But the turf renditions have started, and we've already sent over a couple of proofs. There's some changes that the AD colors wise, the different logo in the center, and making those changes. And then we'll send over another proof.
Do we have a estimate?
Not yet.
Or they won't know until they were able to bore that field. See what they're going to get into.
Okay, so Wright Brothers itself, you know, since you're affiliated with Shaw or whatever, in our particular area, have they done any replacements of turfs?
Not, I'd have to double check with them. I would need to clarify that with them first. replacements yet. You should be able to, as long as the maintenance is done on time and how it's done, 12 to 15 years is no problem on a turf for the use. This one, we're trying to get pad underneath the turf. You can either do sand and then turf or pad. The pad is as important as the turf. There's a term out there, it's called G-Max, and have you guys heard of that? Okay, so the turf, or the pad underneath the turf guarantees G-Max no matter what. So that is important. That will last 2 life cycles of your turf. So between 24 and 30 years. So you'll replace your turf once, you put it on top of your pad, and then the third time you go to replace it, you'll need pad and turf.
Is that what Emmett High School has done?
Yes. Mhm.
And it sounds like you, since you're from Emmett or grew up in
Yeah.
Emmett,
I did that one, yes.
I just thought I would ask.
No, absolutely, yep. Yep, so
That is a beautiful field.
it turned out amazing, it really did. And that one was, that football field actually used to be a cattle feedlot, and they just basically leveled it and put grass on top of it. So it was, there was still posts underneath the football field of the fence for the cattle, for the feedlot. So that's the condition that we dealt with there. And we started later than you guys are, and we were able to make it. Now, we were finishing the day of the football game. We were, the CEO, our 2 vice presidents, and all of us were out there getting it ready for turnover. But the biggest thing is deciding on your group, getting the turf ordered, that's a lead time. That takes some time to get. So.
Is there any problem with getting supplies and such?
Not yet, not on the turf. It's, once we approve the proof, it's sitting at about 30 to 40 days lead time for it to get shipped, and then it'll take 5 days to a year from there.
It's American made, so we don't have to pay tariffs.
Yeah, that's a fun world right now in the construction industry.
You mentioned the maintenance. One of the other schools mentioned that they contracted the maintenance out, annual maintenance. Do you guys do that? Does Shaw do that?
No, so Shaw does, Shaw will talk to you guys on that. There's several programs you can look at. What I would generally recommend and what Emmett's doing, and I believe Nampa is doing, is yearly maintenance. So there's a certain amount of time that the field is used. They'll give you an hour time frame, and then you got to do a maintenance. We'll put in the price, the equipment that's required. They'll come and they'll teach Jesse and whoever his crew is that's going to do it. There's a very specific way you have to do it. And then the yearly is the one I would recommend the board look at hiring to be done. They come in, they measure all the infills, they fill it, they do what they need to do. It also helps protect the warranty.
And how much is that?
What's that?
And how much is that?
I don't have that pricing. When they come, I can get that information for you.
And what is the warranty?
So there's various warranties. So the standard is 8 years on turf. You can buy more. I believe Emmett went to a 12-year warranty, and they have a per year price that you can purchase. They have a cutoff point that they don't, after a certain point, they don't warranty it any further. Emmett bought, I believe it was 12 years on their field.
Does Emmons have the pad?
Yes. Yep. And honestly, seeing what Nampa's dealt with this year with it, I wouldn't feel comfortable without, I wouldn't push you down a path. You'll save money by not putting the pad in, but the pad is very much a necessity. Because you can be G-Max tested 5 minutes before a game, and if the fill isn't right and it doesn't pass, you can't play it. So that's why it's very, very critical. The other part of it too, I would assume Oregon's similar, but Idaho sports, if somebody gets hurt on the turf field, they immediately have to test after the game. and make sure that the field met infill. So it's, if you have that pad there, it always protects you, protects the district from the liability.
Does Nampa have just sand?
Yeah, they didn't do a pad. So, and I think they are regretting it. That's my perception of it.
A little hard to retrofit that.
You'd have to do the whole thing up. You can buy all new infill. The one thing that, when I talked with Jesse and Ryan earlier, or last week, excuse me, one thing that Emmett had to go through, once you guys go to turf, I would highly recommend that the facility around the football field is locked at all times, other than when it's in use. While the field can handle all the use that it can be thrown at it, if somebody goes out and say lights fireworks on it, it will melt the field. So that was one thing that the community in Emmett had to go through, is because they have the walking the track similar to NISA, and people use it all the time. So I highly recommend that, you know, the public's aware that if we
Fireworks right over there by the baseball field. That,
Should be.
I don't know, the sparks fly at one of the things.
Oh, Jesse and I'll stand out there.
When we meet with Shaw, we can talk with them about it. They'll probably have a recommendation, probably to put sprinklers up. So,
And the helicopter for life flight coming out of
Oh, yeah.
from.
yep. Now you can drive on them, but you just, you know, they don't want you driving with super aggressive tires and everything on them. So they're very durable.
So the ambulance could come out on the field. if it
Yep.
needed to.
Yeah, the only type of truck you don't want out, or tire you don't want out there is like the big mud grabbing tires that when they turn, it'll pull the turf. But that's it. You want a turf style tire or a smoother tire so it doesn't pull. Yes,
And do you have experience with Les Schwab donating the infill for the turf, or none at all?
no, I've not heard that.
Okay, because someone mentioned that they are a great resource because they go through and like break down the tires and donate infill to schools.
No, I
in our
haven't heard
area.
that.
I think they donated to maybe Homedale.
Okay. No, I haven't heard that.
Okay.
So one thing that, what we did with Emmett, and if you guys, I don't know how the district works on your donation things. If any community, whether it be a contractor or whatever that's in tune with the district, we'll work with them to where you guys can give them the tax donations. The certificates on that for that too. So we did that big time in Emmett. One of the local gravel pits in the area donated the dumping of the material we dug out, and then also what we had to import in, they gave a donation to that, and the district just supplied the donation certificate. So if you guys know of that, then you can communicate through us, we can coordinate that and give you the donation certificate for them.
Once we get there, we'll be working.
Ryan, you sent a contract over for this?
Yeah, so-
Or I guess Megan attached it.
And Mike's looking at it right now.
Okay, that was my question.
Yeah, Mike's looking at it right now. Actually, we talked about it earlier
Yep.
today. And so then there's a standard one from Oregon as well. Anyway, so we're working on that.
Yep.
Lawyers are doing what they do, and so yeah. Hopefully by the end of this week, we should have something.
Some reading material or something?
No,
Yeah. So, yeah.
I looked through it a bit, but I think Mike really needs to take a look at it.
Yeah, so he is.
That was the question.
And he is out, but he's still looking at it for us, which is pretty cool, because I just let him know timeline-wise. So, which is pretty awesome.
So what kind of timeline are we looking at? I mean, you know, when you do what you do to
Yep.
get us, you know, August and be able to play on it.
So from the time we get the geotech done, we're probably 4 weeks on the overall engineering design. The turfs process we've started, as soon as we select a crew, the one main critical thing that we will be coming back to you guys with is, once we've selected approved, is we gotta order the turf fairly quick, in order to make timelines. And then we were waiting, the AD was gonna get back to us on track timelines for state. If you guys are able to use another track or what, but,
I would just say pencil that in.
okay. So as soon as you guys tell us we can have it filled and the engineering is done, we'll start digging and backfilling and getting everything prepped. Once it's all dug and prepped, it'll take about 25 to 30 days to get the pad and the turf down and glued together. So,
Ooh, sounds exciting.
You know, be good.
We're gonna do
we're gonna do the groundbreaking.
yeah.
And we will have a groundbreaking as well, so just be prepared for that.
Are we gonna name it like the Jolene Reese basketball court, are we gonna name it something?
Bulldog Stadium, yeah.
Jason Melendez.
It depends how much Wright Brothers want to donate. It is up for sale, so just, yeah.
You invited the wrong guy for that one.
Yeah. So,
But I can talk with the owners and see. We do donate a lot of stuff to schools, but you definitely invited the wrong guy. Yes. He's actually just over at Parma Snow Goose hunting right now, so you know, but no, I can ask Zach, the owner.
sorry, thank you. See? Thank you. Anything else for Mike?
I want to, can you mind if I touch on the
No,
contract?
absolutely, yeah.
So the contract is lengthy, if you guys have had a chance to look at it. As I explained to Jesse and Ryan, that the contract is important to us as it is to you guys. The big thing with this style of contract is we are underneath the design build contract. So the way this style is set up, we'll go through engineering and design, and the only risk that you guys have is paying us for doing the engineering design right now. We are gonna have to, like I mentioned, we are gonna have to make a decision on turf sooner rather than later. But if at the end, let's say we get down to the nitty gritty and the district doesn't have the money to continue with construction, the contract allows for severance between the two groups without any recourse between the two. That's the good part about this contract, is it protects you guys and us. So we go through engineering design. Let's hypothetically, this is just blue sky talking. Our geotech comes back and is like, you guys got to dig 15 feet down to get to a good material to come back into, and it's going to cost way more than what you have. We can stop design at any given time, and you only are required to pay what that time frame is that's there, and then the contract is done in time. So it does protect. You're not locking into completing the whole project no matter what, and you have to pay. There's certain styles of contracts, where I was going with that is that you would have to pay the whole amount, or could have to pay that. That's not this style. That's the good thing about this contract, is there's a point where you guys can say, hey, we can't afford it anymore, stop. And we stop, we pay what we have into it, and that's it. So it does protect both entities very well from that standpoint. It is lengthy, but it is, that's an industry standard that protects the owners, and which is the district, and then the contractor as well. So,
I do have one other question.
absolutely.
You talked about turf style.
Yeah.
Are there different types of turf? I mean, like when you buy carpet, you can buy
Yes,
low
there is.
grade.
So there's not like is per se, yes, there's different manufacturers that make a cheaper rendition of turf. But then there's also what they call the pile length of the turf, which is the blade of turf, right? Like your grass. That what is required there is the longer the pile, the more expensive it gets. But if you stay with the pad, you get to go to a lower pile length, which is that blade, essentially the blade of grass or turf, right? So that's kind of the big thing. And the more important thing is, especially if you're trying to go to pad and turf, is you go from the same suppliers. So Shaw supplies the pad and the turf, so that if there's a warranty issue, if you use two different people, so let's say we buy the pad from Shaw and then the turf from Johnny Turf Company, what happens when there's a warranty issue is they both point at each other and say it's the pad, it's the turf, and nobody gets nothing done. Where it's both from the same people, it takes care of the problem right away. So there is in that sense, 100%.
So the turf that we looked at Emmett,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, because I got down and I felt it and
Mhm.
looked at the length of it. That's the type of turf that would, I mean, I take that's the top tier.
Yeah, we went with Shaw and Bolt, and Emmett looked at going to a different turf supplier, and it came back to warranty, being 100%. And like I said, you can go to a longer pile. Even with the pad, you can go to a longer pile. With that comes more infill, and then it becomes just, you're paying for nothing really at that point, because your pad's still there. But if you don't have the pad, you have to go to that longer pile so you can have more infill.
Any other questions? I think I talked a lot.
So like you kind of, excuse me, said, when you were talking about the contract, you needed to dig 15 feet into the ground to get to good soil, and say we stop. When do you determine that?
As soon as
During
it's
the boring process?
Yeah, the boring happens, then geotech engineers review that material, and they'll make a recommendation at that point.
You don't want a 15-foot hole.
No, I'm
in
just,
there.
they'll go a ways, they'll drill down until they find
Right.
what they
Well, I'm
need to
saying,
find.
you got a backhoe out there, you
No,
excavated the first 10 yards and.
sometimes they'll bring a backhoe, most of the time they bring a backhoe and they'll dig a hole, and they analyze the soil strata. Sometimes they bring a drill rig that drills a 4-inch diameter hole down, and then they fill it back in when they're done. You just will have a bare spot filled.
And Mike, if you could explain again about the blue turf, you know, wanting to,
Oh, yeah, about the color combination.
yes. please.
So it's common practice, any color field, so like your end zones that are, you know, we're looking at navy blue, the turf company will reach out to Boise State and get permission to use blue. So, not a big deal, it just provides a letter that says that we approve it. Took about a week in it, is all it did.
And that's standard for
Any
this
color,
area?
no, it's nationwide. Any color field, turf field has to get approved by Boise State.
Really? That sounds like a lot of power.
Yeah, I think it was Eastern Washington that were all red.
Yes,
They had to get permission from Boise State as well.
really. And I will have to tell you that that is kind of an ugly field.
No, it's terrible to watch on TV.
Oh,
Yeah.
Which
Oh, he's in Washington.
State.
So we're doing navy blue, not royal blue?
I'm not sure if that should be
Yeah.
the one that's gonna be.
We looked at the navy blue, it pops a little more, it's a little brighter than that royal blue. And so we have, and that's why we're mocking it up, it just looks, it's darker, and so you'll see it. When we get it all done, you'll see the double green and navy blue and royal blue. We just, looking at it, I kinda like that Emmett field, that navy blue just really pops on it, so.
Any other questions?
Oh, I think we talked at our last meeting about local contractors.
Yes,
Do you use?
yeah, we will advertise, and I think that's in our, we put a little snippet in our contract about it.
Okay.
It's not a requirement, like, you can't legally bound me to it, but we will advertise anybody that's in the area to try to get them to participate in the contract.
And how's that affect warranty issues?
Nothing.
Okay.
Their time, our contract with all contractors is, so on the field, when we, Wright Brothers portion, aside from the turf, is 1 year. And then the turf carries its own warranty.
Okay.
So. But even then, you know, if Jesse calls me in 3 years and says we got a problem, we'll help coordinate getting shot down and everything else, so.
For maintenance, is there some, think that you have to water the turf?
There is, yeah, it's why, I don't know, but yeah,
Okay.
you do, there's, There's a certain, and it's mainly about when you go to put the infill down, or when you're moving the infill around it. I think it helps the turf, I don't exactly know for sure what the water does. I'm assuming it helps because there's a little bit of sand with the infill, and I think it helps it move evenly when they're brooming it. It's basically a big broom that moves the,
And how often do we have to water a turf? Like,
I think it's only anytime you're doing the maintenance.
like once a year?
No, it's every so many hours.
Oh, okay.
It's hours and
Hours
use.
use, yeah. So it could be once a year, it could be,
Yeah.
Depends on.
everybody's on it 24/7, a couple times a year, but you only do it when you're doing it.
From what I understand, I'd have to verify that, but it's not a great deal of water. It's not like you're gotta put so many inches of water on it or whatever.
Okay.
And then part of that is, that's on the maintenance equipment is a large magnet, which is important. So when you are brooming the field, moving that, it's got a large magnet that goes along with it. Cheerleaders, whatever, bobby pins fall out,
Earrings.
that's, yes, and you want that magnet to collect any of that metal that's on the field.
Oh, we don't have to.
But you never know, the other
Well,
teams,
you never
yeah,
know.
the other teams might.
They're trying.
Soccer, I mean, it all, any of the bobby pin, like bobby pins, earrings, stuff like that, you want that to collect it.
Do you have any questions for us?
I don't, I'm open book, Jesse has my cell phone number, he claims I'm in meetings all the time, which I am. But, I'm always open to questions, concerns, anything like that. It's, honestly, 6 is from my house in Emmett to our office, so if there's ever anything that you guys need or questions, we're here to help. We want to see the community succeed. One thing I will tell you guys, because I was a board member for Emmett, not during the turf project, but what I did see happen with the turf project in Emmett was it brought a sense of pride to the school with the kids. That field turned out awesome, and I'm not just saying that because we did it, but it really did turn out great. And the kids, what they saw through the school and then also the communities, it brought a sense of pride. That is something that they are proud of. So it's an investment that will return value to the kids to have something that's like, hey, that's us. That's our field. And the kids in Emmett really, truly do take pride in it and take care of it. The PE kids are using it, and even talking with the athletic director there, they see it, them taking care of it too. There's, they don't have no gums allowed, you don't want gum or anything like that on the field. If it happens, there's procedures, but they've got a kind of a standing rule, and they have not had one issue with gum on the football field, that shows that brings that pride back to your school, which it's a full circle, brings donations, brings boosters, brings that all back.
Well, I think we're all excited about this moving forward.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I was very impressed by Emmons Field. That is beautiful.
Yeah, I think it turned out really, really well, and the Shaw Turf did BK's field as well, Bishop Kelly in Boise, and that one turned out, they did a phenomenal job with that turf pattern too. So,
Did they do Boise Heights as well?
I need to verify if they did Boise's or not. I know they
That's like
did.
the only one I've touched.
Yeah. Yeah, we're here to help, and any questions that come along the way, I'm happy to come back or answer questions through Ryan or Jesse, whichever you guys need.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you can go.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Yeah. And like I said, please reach out if you guys have questions along the way.
Oh, I do have one other
Yes.
question. How many other turf fields are going in our area? Because I know that's the big thing now is,
I don't know that Meridian or Boise's got any left. I think it's a lot of the rural schools are starting to do them more now. I haven't heard any more
House bill that various schools got, you know, multi-millions to do maintenance and stuff. So they could start some of those, but I haven't heard any recently started, and I don't know about Oregon, I haven't heard anything come up, so. Okay? All right. Thank you guys,
so
appreciate
much.
it.
Thank you. Let's, if there are other questions about the turf project, we'll move on to the board training and the survey that we were supposed to do.
So the survey's going around, I just need Maribel to take it, and then other than
I thought I did it.
if you did it, great, because when I talked to her last week, there was 3 of them that was done, so if you did it, that could have been after that. So good, we're good on all the survey, so thank you.
I did it the same day it came out.
Okay. Did you guys see it?
But it didn't ask for my name, it asked for a secret code
Yeah, color or
Oh, yeah.
or something.
Oh, that's weird. Sorry, but no, okay, so if we're good with that, then we're good to go forward. I'll talk to the lady at the rural.
Okay, do we have some dates picked?
Yeah, and I'll make sure she's good, and we have,
So what month are we, just give us a month that you're looking at.
so we were looking at, we were trying to do something in March, if you remember. She has to check her turnaround time on that.
Okay.
So as soon as that gets done, I will let everybody know.
Great, and you'll let us know as soon as you,
Yep, I will call her tomorrow. She's waiting for tonight's meeting, and we'll get going. So I'll email everybody tomorrow. Yeah.
that would be great. Anyone else have any questions about the board training and the survey? Okay. In that case, we will move on to the elementary playground. I was excited when I looked at those plans and such. Made me feel like, gosh, I wish I had kids who are back in elementary school, or maybe I'd like to be in elementary school again.
You're more than welcome to go play.
My daughter's already upset. She's like, "What? Why?" Right when I leave the elementary, I was like, "Oh, too bad." But no. If you guys remember, we in December in our study session, we talked about it. Mr. Pratt made a presentation based on how he engaged with the students, with the public. We were at like the ornament thing and just trying to get as much as possible. Those are all the writing samples. We actually used it as a good kind of a work study or a work sample situation. And yeah, so there was just a lot of input. Even last week, he was at Math Club and up there with the parents, and then saying, hey, you know, any more? And so we had QR codes. So, but that was just talking about the process that we're at. So now we went out to bid after that December, and then at the design build, and so that's where I'll turn it over to Jesse, and he'll kind of walk you through where we're at. We met last week as a playground committee, and there was Recreation Today, actually is the only company that actually bid. There's 2 different designs. We went through our rubric and picked that, you know, that we feel pretty dang comfortable with this company. And then they also picked a design, which Jesse's going to highlight. He's going to highlight some other things on there, but I'm going to turn it over.
Okay, well, I'll put it on the big screen here. This is the design that they ended up picking out. Did anybody else happen to receive one of these copies? Oh, probably not. It's just kind of their background. They are good people. They actually did the playground on the north side. And they also did the playground over here just on the south side for the minor program. So the first one that we're going to go through, as we go through here, this, Mr. Murray, or Mr. Pratt, excuse me, this is the color design that you actually selected, right? This
No.
is the email, no? Well, this is the playground equipment that they're,
But the style of playground equipment, yeah. Color is gonna be blue and grays, but it's the fall protection
yes.
that we're playing with the colorization, so that it's zoned. So you have red and greens and
So here's kind of the estimated cost of sand volleyball pit, one of the areas, sail shade, and we're gonna call that over an outdoor classroom. 4 basketball hoops. Some of the basketball hoops out there are pretty old and pretty worn out. So the total cost of the project to install the playground is $600,000. One of the things we did include into this price was playground cost. We also wanted to put the walking path that we included in there, that's gonna be the quarter-mile walking path here on that side of the playground as well. Budgeted $800,000 for the project, and we're looking projected cost being about $742,000.
So, and you see on there, there's the stadium seating as well, this company. So we're upgrading the stadium seating out there while we're doing the turf, because it's rickety, it's dangerous. So this would be ADA compliant, this company actually
Right.
does it. And so what that's part of that cost, and so we'll go through the same company who does the exact stadium seating, ADA compliant and all those
The
things.
football field stadium
Yes,
seating?
yeah. So
On the passage to the visitor site.
yeah, the visitor side, not the home side. No,
Okay, I was gonna say, there's no.
No, I'm sorry, it's the visitor side that is absolutely lacking on it.
Okay.
I mean, it's not as bad as the rodeo grounds, but still pretty bad.
So we have to get our bleachers inspected annually, and we know pass inspection on those bleachers, and it's due to be redone. They're not ADA compliant. And by doing this, we will be ADA compliant.
How many seats would that be?
It's roughly gonna hold about the same. You're gonna lose some seating because of the wheelchairs that they need to put in there, but they're gonna be just a little shorter, but not by much. You're not gonna really see it. They're busy,
Very
so
rarely
I
ever
would
seen
just,
them full, so that's
squeeze it
why I was
out.
kind of curious.
And what we're doing, we're keeping it that size because we're saying, hey, we're gonna have more playoff games, state playoffs, and those kind of things. So we really do kind of want to adjust for the future. We were saying, it's well, I'll just put one bench and back. No, I'm trying.
Like,
Yeah. So no, it actually, and it'll be really nice for our visitors and those things, because we definitely want to showcase our city as well through it. So anyway, so that's why you see it on there. This company actually does it. They specialize in it, so it was a logical thing for us to go with them on it. So
They did send me some designs, however, I can't really present them because they're not stamped yet by the engineer. But that will be included in this $100,000 stamping and the permits that will make it purchase.
Can you go back to the picture?
And that seating upgrade will be ready when we have our first football game.
So upon approval, this company is pretty confident that they will be able to finish this project before Thunder 8 Days, which is July 10th.
I'm worried about the umbrellas, because we have an umbrella like that on our front porch, and when the wind comes, we have to put it down really quick, or it just
These are sales. We could take them off if we need to. They don't recommend that we use. They're stretched pretty tight. And they're gonna go nowhere.
Is it those two sales that are $27,000?
No, the other sale that we have, here, is gonna be over the classroom that we have, which is somewhere here, which will be this one here. We're gonna have some seating down through there. Those will have also be sales, and those sales are very expensive.
I've never shopped for them.
Yeah, it's not like,
You have now.
it's not like your typical, you go down to the hardware store and get some tarp. These are heavy duty design.
And where is the ADA accessible stuff?
That's a swing up there. Wait, go back
Right.
down.
yeah.
So that's a swing. That's ADA.
Just one swing, that's it?
Oh no, we have more than that. Yeah.
And those
So
are things
that's-
that we could always change. I mean, if we wanted to go with two swings,
Well, I know
because
like Hillary and Esme couldn't play on any of them.
Yeah. So go up a little bit, Jesse. No, the other way. I'm sorry, go down. I apologize. So you'll
This is kind of
see.
the
So
layout.
There's a map.
yeah. So you'll see on there. You mind if I? Yeah. So here's just a sensory part, but all right here in this area is not. So it's ramps on there, and then so all of that is all ADA compliant. But over here is as well. This is just they can if they need to wheel up on it. That's what this about it,
More
we're
swings.
doing different colors here.
Yeah.
So we tell them like, you know, hey, if you're preschool, you need to stay on the red, just for kids to know. And then, so yeah, so all of it is ADA compliant. Here is really set up for your wheelchairs and your sensory space as well, right?
Plus, we also, having met with Nick May, so those 2 more swings, there's another swing set apparatus right there, yeah. Both of those end swings are ADA bucket seats. And then the black in the upper right corner, the 2 black sails, they kind of look like nuts.
Yeah, these ones right
And
here.
their wings,
Yeah.
we're taking those out and we're putting in a merry-go-round that you wheel a wheelchair right onto it.
Oh, that's great.
You can see the track design if you wanted to go with the wheelchair all the way around.
And this is gonna have that cool cushioning that
Yeah,
the other
it's the
playground
bonded
has.
rubber that they
So
call it.
then, like wheelchair, it'll be wheelchair accessible throughout the entire thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
Here's their sand volleyball
Sand
court.
volleyball pit. This one here, we can move it wherever we need to, but they kind of have it over here. We may need to move it for training purposes, but it just kind of gives you an idea. This, for the most part, is the layout of what the playground's gonna look like.
So you see, sorry, let me jump in. Just for reference wise, right? So the district office is actually right here. This is the preschool playground right now. This is the walkway in between. The football or the basketball courts are right here, right? And here's that space right there is just sand, and so this is just for reference, and so I think this is our walkway through.
Some of the information that we got in the requests, as well as feedback from some of the other parents, was trying to make a multifaceted playground. You can play, you can sit, you can relax, you can be in the outdoor classroom, but you can also be learning in the outdoor classroom setting.
It's just this area.
And it sets really close to a place where you can have education still going on outside. You can do some of those memory writes or sensory writing is what I like to call them. But we also have all of the benches and picnic tables that are established in this bid to be movable, so that you can even produce a classroom around the sand, the volleyball area. And that's all ADA equipment. That spinner in the middle is like an egg. You can actually set yourself inside it. No?
No.
Nope.
It
Oh,
has the
but
blue
that,
lid.
yeah. It's turned around, but it has a hole in the opening, and it's a spinner that you can actually set a body in it that was in a wheelchair, and they spin. Surprisingly, we're adults, we don't like spinning. Kids, for sensory, it almost calms many of the children who need that type of rotation.
Are you gonna leave the tetherball?
Yeah.
Tether balls are staying. The
And there's gonna be space
PTO,
for your swimming pool.
the PTO is on this committee. The PTO is taking on the asphalt portion of helping with the painting and doing, we have a myriad of games that came out of our playground game spot to put, like dragonfly tag, ginormous hopscotch, multiplication table, the US map, all out on the playground. So the PTO is taking on that project.
What is the plan for the sand with the cats in the neighborhood?
We're gonna go ahead and probably call that to your place.
We don't have cats, so it will be very obvious.
I think that's probably one of the most exciting parts for me is to get rid of that sand.
Should be for the volleyball court.
Oh,
Yeah.
what,
You know,
I mean, the whole entire playground as we speak right now is sand.
Mhm.
This one here is gonna be that,
We do a lot of stuff with the dog poop already, so.
yeah.
Well, do you remember the kids had to
It
put
is what
this
it
in
is.
there? We had to get buckets out of a dump truck and the kids had to put it on there.
They don't allow that anymore.
You know, that's a good question. What I could do is during the wintertime, maybe tarp it. I mean, I do know that they have covers.
And the rubberized border around that volleyball court, one of the things that got us thinking about volleyball sand pit was just the pure fact, one, there isn't an outdoor volleyball court anywhere. The other is that it does produce a very, use sand for a lot of science type weights and measure experiments, pretty easy. Make a classroom out of it, but the border around it is rubberized. And they did give me a suggestion in between the volleyball and the walking path, if that's where it ends up, Jesse, was to produce some seating that actually creates that divide so the sand doesn't come onto the playground. Because the sand is what will kill the playground composition.
So you're referring to this right here being,
Yeah, so, no, well, if, along this area here, just to produce a bench, a seated bench, made out of cement, and that's all it is. It's just a wall, it's like a sea-bearing wall, right? You just produce something, it's fairly cheap, but at the same time, it physically keeps that sand where it is. Now, we didn't want to put it over here necessarily because Thunder days and the cars, as well as we didn't want to encroach on the soccer field.
and we do have some players that play this currently on this area.
Quite a bit. Yeah, they started
They're
their
excited
last
to
week.
use the turf. I met them last week, they're like,
Year-round.
wait a minute, during winter we can use the turf to practice? I was like, absolutely can, and they were excited because, I mean, it was
Yeah, that's
rainy and
gonna go
snowy
on.
and they were still out there, so.
So anyway,
So, and with those, you know, with those changes or even a bench or changing, putting the merry-go-round in there, is that it will not change the price on it.
does not change it.
And so for you guys to know that is, it's gonna be the base 600 for all of those things, and it will not change the price, so.
What other options are there besides the rubberized base? And that's
Yeah,
over a third the cost of the project.
which is actually cheaper than some of the other ones, because there's a big rubber mat option that actually don't work really well, start kind of folding up and looking at that isn't great. You could do, if you want, like wood chips, that I would not recommend, but you have to go so deep with them now. I mean, because we're grandfathered in, we're able to get the sand out there, but really you have to do a rubber mat, and this is probably the most cost-effective, longer-lasting of the solutions, and so that's why we've done, this will be now our final playground done that way. Okay, so.
They had some rubber mulch tires. We had one kid come up and there was still some metal in it. We had to really push forward to getting rid of it.
It transfers into the building, transfers into the bark, transfers in, and then you have wet composition that bark compounds. And then it becomes cement, and then you have to refill it every year. You're refilling every 6 to 8 inches of fill.
Just use gravel, it's already broken up.
That's what we use, right? If you jumped off the swing, good luck.
Yeah, right. Natural consequences.
You could mark where you landed so much easier.
Oh, that's exactly, who goes further.
See that piece of skin, that's mine.
Now,
So
for
how
kids to
much
get old.
maintenance is there going to be there for your group, Jesse?
We just said annually, you know, they cover it, give us the first year, and after that, we just go through and just make sure everything's taken care of.
I like your idea, Shane, of the bench type thing,
yeah,
you know, because sometimes kids like to sit down too.
that's right.
Or they're playing volleyball, they will have like somewhere to sit and actually
Mhm.
watch the other kids.
Yeah.
And we are,
Multi-purpose
That's
is
the
what
kid.
the feedback we got for the playground in the elementary school. Have it be multi-faceted for any age, preschool to the 12, and even thinking high schoolers might come over. Because they do.
on that walking path, and you'll see it out here if you guys have seen it, there's an old Pentagon, but has 6 sides. But it is actually falling apart. It is dangerous for kids. Like, unfortunately, what kids like to do at recess is pick at it and do that. So what we're actually going to do is there's a plaque on it. We're going to remove that old drinking fountain that has no functionality in it, and they're going to put in like an actual bench, put that plaque on there so it is more permanent and is more usable for people. And so that'll be moved in that corner for people to enjoy and actually be useful.
What does the plaque say?
In memory of, and it's like class of 1976 or something like that. It's the senior Pentagon. But yeah, so that is part of the plan, and to ensure that that is still memorialized and being something that our community can still use and enjoy and remember that. So.
You know, if that class is still available, or, you know, members, you should really point that out, because sometimes they give donations.
Oh, good. Oh, well, actually, that's a good idea. So yeah, but just, yeah, like I said, it has been a safety issue, and so we're kind of 2 birds, 1 stone on that. So.
Yeah, as I said, I saw the plans, and I thought, that's gonna really be nice.
It really will. And I mean, just kind of using all kind of feedback, the outdoor classroom for me was like, but a lot of classrooms said, we're really interested in, because, you know, obviously right now, but like, you know, in the fall and then a little later in the spring, they want to be outside, they want to be learning, they want to be doing science out there. They, you know, like, hey, let's do an experiment on the basketball courts, and then go over here and write about it. Anyway, and it was like, there was more positive traction around that outdoor classroom, like that. And if they're going to use it, it would be amazing. So, but yeah, no, I love how the elementary really asked all the kids, asked the parents, asked the teachers, and really this is a feedback from hours and hours and hours of work on it. And so I tell like Shane in elementary, thank you for everything. And so that is really the brainchild of really our whole elementary. So.
That's exciting. You did a lot of work, Shane.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
walking path,
Thanks for your opportunity.
can you show the path again?
Oh, you want it on the playground itself?
Yeah, where?
That one or the big one that goes,
Big
it's
one
going to
is
be
not.
paved.
So the walking path isn't on here, you're probably
Oh.
referring.
Oh,
It's
okay.
actually gonna go around the district and.
Do you have it up on the board right now? Is it up there?
It's all inside the fence, isn't it?
Yeah, so,
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
actually gonna come from the district building, come out this way, right alongside this, out Adrian Boulevard, and attached to that concrete that's over here.
Are we gonna have tree root issues?
We're gonna need to remove 3 of the trees.
and that's in the price there. And those trees become a safety hazard for that road as well.
Well, I mean over time, we're gonna have tree root issues raising, causing danger spots in that path.
I would imagine over time you would, that these trees, I think the next damage is the root that will cause the damage is the one that falls.
I'm sorry, there's still branches available.
Whenever you release branches on those trees.
And the path is paved, but it's not concrete, it's
Asphalt.
asphalt.
I just, for some reason, had it in my mind, it was like kind of curving all over the place, and I was like,
It should be just like a loop like you would in the track.
okay,
So
yeah, no, that's
the
fine.
city park that has theirs curvy.
And that's one of
Well, I
the
don't do any
things,
walking, so that was like not really a big concern of mine.
well, that's one of the things we're using to say, you know, why we can close off the football field, the turf field.
Yep. The great part about it, there is shade through there. I mean, those 3 trees will be taken out there, but, you know, in the middle of summer when families want to use it, there is shade. And they, you know, they can go play out there, my parents kind of walk and enjoy it. And so it actually, I think it makes it more accessible to our community that way.
And are the benches, are there gonna be any benches near the walking, or are they not gonna be very far from the walking path, any of them?
All of the benches back there are movable,
Oh, okay.
so you can move them.
So, and if later you decide you want some more benches along that walking path, that can probably be added.
Mr. Kraft, are those musical instruments off to the left?
Yeah, it's
Okay,
a
I thought that's what
sensory
it was.
space. The reason why at first, we hadn't even thought about using that space, but because they're sensory and there is no need for what they call fall protection usable space area needed, that we could put in as many of those as we could afford. So we did. We put in xylophones, drums, different types of phones. So the spinner, you can see how that spinner, it's kind of by itself. You're like, well, why don't they put stuff near it? Because it's that fall protection. The rock wall, the under and over little climbing rock wall, it can be placed there, but there's so little, it's not very tall. It's mainly for the primary tech kids, so it doesn't need a lot of fall protection.
I'm a big supporter of noisemakers.
So, yeah, so we
there.
found a space that would be adequate to add some different types of things. Kids don't always like to be on the slides or running up and down climbers. Sometimes they just, like I said, sometimes they just need to sit, or they need sensory items.
So we need to vote to approve this.
It'll come next week during the board session, so if you guys have anything before that, like, hey, any of those questions, just let us know. But yeah, so that will be on the agenda for next week, so.
Is the walkway that goes from by where the concession is to around to the visitor side, I'm assuming that's the direction people are gonna use? Is there any, like, plan to make that a little wider? It just feels really narrow when you walk on it.
It does,
And
yeah.
especially if you have like a wheelchair, that's what I was.
We could definitely look into it, because I didn't even think about that would be, yeah,
That's our whole.
that'd be a really good idea. So.
I just know that I always, like, when I walk by, it's like, okay, are you moving off the sidewalk or am I moving off the sidewalk?
Yeah, okay. Any other questions on kind of the playground and the process? It's pretty exciting.
Okay, if there are no other questions on the playground, we'll move on to the contract renewals.
Perfect. Please, I'm sorry, would you do me a huge favor?
Thanks for the opportunity.
Can you please take Brett out to dinner for me?
Thank you, Shane.
Cool stuff for-
Thank you, Mr.
And the whole community.
Well, I'm impressed by all the survey materials you got from everyone.
Yeah, some of them were easier to read than others.
That's nice.
That's what they wanted. And
There's no lazy river on either of them.
yeah, there was the trampoline in the ground and the pool. And I unfortunately had to
No,
go around
Susan.
the
I
track.
was like, wait a minute, is this
No, because the pool is supposed to be an indoor pool, I believe, not an outdoor.
Oh, that's
Pool
right.
won't be making it very good.
Thank you, Mr. Pratt.
Thank you, Jesse. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Perfect, so contract renewals, so this always comes up in our March board meeting when we do our renewals for the certified and classified staff, and so, before we got there and did a blanket, everybody kind of accepted, I wanted to make sure you guys knew the process and if you had any questions, and so, what happens is, we have our evaluation process that is all year, right, we do formals and informals, we do have for our probationary, IAs, our classified people, we have a 30 and a 90 evaluation as well. And so, without getting too far into it, so essentially, we met in January and said, do we have any teachers that we're concerned about? And we're working through it. And so, I think it was last week or the week before that, we met as a group and said, is there anybody we're recommending to the board to non-renew? And so, all of the renewals that we're presenting to you guys next week are based on the work of our admin all year. Yeah.
Shane, excuse me, before you leave,
Yes,
I know the spelling bee is next week.
Yep.
yes.
Just, since you're here,
Yeah.
if you could just sort of give us just a little bit of a rundown. I mean, I'm assuming we're all invited to.
Yeah, and Matt will be on Monday. He's gonna have a big spiel
Okay,
about it.
you'll have
So,
a big
yes.
spiel on
So,
Monday,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's,
I will be fortunately in Newport on our spelling bee, but yes, all board members, if you would like to come by. Also, there'll be links that you could zoom in and watch any of the spelling bees from your home or from work, that you're able to do so. But Matt has more details on that.
Okay.
But it will be on the 13th of March.
At what
And
time?
we'll be the host for Malheur County again.
I think it starts, is it?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock in there, and then they do kind of the intro in the Mac Hall there, then they kind of start going.
We have 4 locations for the bee to be done throughout the day, and it should be completed and done by 2 o'clock. So,
Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
yeah, we plan on having about 75 to 100 visitors at Nissa Elementary that we don't normally have. And they get a chance to look at our school, look at our facilities, and go, we could do that too. So, but thank you for asking.
Thank
Yes,
you.
You're welcome to come by.
And if you know Mr. Murray, he has been practicing for the past 2 months, and I don't say that after literally practicing for the last 2 months, and so we are ready to go. He's excited about it. So he will be presenting at the board meeting on Monday. Just invite everybody in and answering any of those questions. So
Yeah, it really is fun.
Yeah.
It really is.
my favorite thing is at the end, the winner, we give them a large check. Like they won the lottery, and I go up there and physically sign it. It's actually pretty cool. And we do tell the family you cannot take this to the bank, it's not a real check. And so, anyway. But anyway, so back on contract renewal. So the contracts that we are recommending to the board to renew is based on all the work the admin. And so every admin evaluates their employees, and then they tell me, and then I take that feedback to you guys for renewals. So
Could we get a copy of that before next Monday?
you could see, you will see all, you could see all the contracts. It's a lot of them, right? But we can scan them to you and get them to you. So it is,
Well, just, do you have a list of recommend renew and not
Mhm.
renew,
yeah.
instead of
Yeah.
going through each individual?
Yeah, that, if that's something you would like, we can absolutely
Like an
do that.
Excel sheet?
Yeah, we can do that.
That'd be
Pretty
nice.
simple.
Okay, thanks.
Yep, there is only, I think there are only 2 contracts not on there for renewal, and that is mine and Dawn's, and those ones, obviously you guys will do later, so it's not, so we're not a part of that process. So, is that correct, Pat? Just, okay. Meg, is that right? Okay, thank you. So, yeah, just so you guys know, it's, I'm not sliding on your mind, it's like, oh, by the way, here you go. But yeah, so those 2 will not be on there.
Okay.
But yeah, well, I will get the group and Excel of who we're measuring. Perfect, and then there are, I want to make sure we cover part of that contract renewal. If a teacher is retired, or they're on emergency license or restricted license, we are opening the positions back up. Right, so, and once they hold proper licensure, I know we have 2 teachers right now that are in the process, so we're not opening up their job. They were emergency last year. And so we do that to ensure that we have properly licensed teachers in all positions. With retired staff, they basically, once they retire, they have annual, our Mr. Blanchard is one of our retired teachers, right? So after 3 years after probationary, then they get renewed into a regular position. So just for you guys to know the process.
So after they're retired, or after they retire and they come back, they become probationary?
Yep, for 3 years. Yep, and then it becomes a renewal. So every year for those 3 years, it will be opened back up. So you'll see that when we go back through. So once we do the contract one, we'll open up those positions, and they might say, it's like, oh, well, that person, what's going on? Like, that's really what it is. So you'll see them on the board.
Now, in those particular cases, is priority given to a new, like if somebody has experience but is not retired, then is that where we try to go? Because isn't like the purpose is there's not a higher.
It depends on the situation, right? And we absolutely want, part of it is most of the staff that we do, we are, I would say, pretty awesome staff members. Does that make sense? And so if there's not, then we really say, you retired, maybe it's time to go, and that's what the admin talk about. And so if, and we'll like I said, we'll open it up just in case, but most of the time we have, I mean, they've been here for 20, 30 years and they're still rocking it. Sometimes we say, it's time to open it up and we need a different member of our team. So, good question. anything else on that?
Any other questions?
And please, next week, when you guys are looking through it, if you do have any, and I put it in my email, don't do what I just did and say a staff member's name, that's inappropriate, and so I do apologize on that. But if you do have any questions on that, and it really is, we're okaying the admin's recommendation from all the work that they do with evaluations and the process. And so know that we don't question what you guys, the board isn't questioning the employee, you're questioning our admin and their work, which is okay if you want to say, hey, what does that process look like? But please get those to me if you do have any questions on you.
So preferably, we should get those questions to you before our next board
Yeah,
meeting.
please.
Wait until that day whenever they have questions and then put them all again.
Yeah, so, yep. So yeah, I just want to let you
We're
guys
gonna go
know.
on for Monday.
Any other questions on the contract renewals? We will move on then to the calendar.
So the calendar is the one that we talked about last board meeting in February. I did receive some more feedback from students, parents, teachers, just kind of talking about the why and where we're going, and actually got some really good ideas, some feedback about one, can we do like Adrian and Harper does, where they observe the day off on that Friday. And so I took that out there because I had a lot of little kids basketball for the past month. Just talking to a lot of parents and pretty consistent, and at Mac Club and those things is, what I get is that, well, I have that day off, I'd like to be with my kids. And then when I have to work on Friday, they're gonna be at home, and so it's gonna be, not gonna be for 2 weeks. And so a lot of them said, I would like to observe that, if I do have that day off, I wanna be with my family and I wanna observe it that way. And so that's a lot of feedback that I got, and so they would rather be with their kids if they have it off. Some parents said, oh, absolutely, you keep them, I do not want them. No, that was me. No, and then another one was, how effective are those days in June, and part of it is the calendar is the way it is we have a foundation now where 4 days, but it is based on the data that our community is showing us is in need. And so we'll look at the data in June and see if that's effective, and if we need to change those days around, that's okay. But the foundation is that you guys set the foundation. What is this, their second year in the 4 days? So we're going to be pretty consistent. So most of the things look like just like they do this year.
So a lot of my feedback has been, let's do like Adrian and Harper and observe on Friday. And I've had 6 people reach out to me. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but for an issue, that is a lot. I normally don't have that many people reach out to me, but this June thing has stirred up a bit of a hornet's nest on that. So that's the one feedback I got, and another person said, if we've got a problem with students and teachers showing up on Fridays when we have Fridays, why don't we just tell them either you do it or we're going back to the 5-day school week. I talk to students and they're telling me Thursdays are becoming what Fridays were. They're not. The teachers, that's not right for me to make a sweeping generalization. There's some teachers who are treating Thursdays as kind of a free day or a catch-up day. Maybe that's a better way to put it, a catch-up day. And that wasn't the intent when we went to a 4-day week. So now I'm looking at this going, they wanted a 4-day work week. The students seem to want a 4-day school week. People aren't showing up. They're not treating that Thursday they're not utilizing it the way they should. And so now we're pushing kids to go into school because it's not being utilized. And that wasn't the purpose.
Yeah.
And I would like to piggyback, and I've heard from the kids when there is school on Fridays, they're really not doing anything all day. So I'm like, And and the second part is, can students not start a week earlier in August? And maybe it's just a complete no, but just to not go into June.
So the problem, I mean, in August, what you're doing is you're pushing into fair time, and then after that, and registration, and then first week back for teachers. And so we're still getting, we're pretty condensed right now, even having new teachers come on. I mean, all of those things, we're as close as possible. The other things that we can do, right, is we can shorten a Christmas break. We can, I mean, there's days in there, but, you know, like, I mean, going to a 5-day or doing the swap days, there's a give and take on it, right? We're not gonna give any more days. I think as far as days, we're only going to increase. And so where those are at, we're gonna base it on the data, and that's, you know, that's part of it is, we don't wanna be at a place like, well, we'll take this back, we'll go to a 5-day. It's like, this is what the community wants, this is what you want now, we gotta start working towards that. And I would really say is, we make decisions based on data and looking at it as like, where does our student achievement go? Are we kind of pretty stale with it and saying, maybe taking 20 days out of the calendar wasn't the best idea, right? And so, long story short, I want to base it on data, I don't want to do threats. And if we are seeing those things, and that's something that Gina and I can bring back to our admin tomorrow, like, make sure Thursday isn't the new Friday, right? Orange isn't the new black. So,
A lot of that is up to our administrators to make sure
Yep.
that our teachers actually teach on Thursdays then. But you know, it's, you know, huge news. Oregon ranks where? At,
47,
yeah,
according to the
close
NAEP.
to the bottom.
Yep, and I think,
And you have to wonder, I mean, is it the whole state? Because we have a 4-day week, but over on the other side of the state, they still go 5 days. And we have a 92% graduation, if you're just looking at graduation rates. And the rest of the state is 88, 90. I mean, you know, so it's more than just the 4-day week. I mean, there's something else that's going on.
I think that's a good way to say it. I think there's something else going on and kind of helping figure that out, especially when you see our trend lines on the NAEP, right? Is that we're actually trending down on it. And if you guys don't know the NAEP, which I emailed you guys on it, right? Take a sample size from each district throughout the nation. And so it's not like, oh, well, those are only those kids, or those, it is really a sample from every single school in the nation. And then if you get selected, right? Hey, congratulations, you've been selected to do this random testing with some students. And then they take all that together, and then that's how we say, hey, there's the norm on it, and Oregon does rank 47th. And our trend line is kind of, we've always been below that average, but actually you see there's more separation now. So it's not going in the right direction. So.
It's really bad when someone points out that the states that have a lower per capita income than we do have a better academic record than what we're having. And it's, you know, it's frustrating.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at our superintendent saying, what is the problem with Oregon? I mean,
We don't have enough
it
time.
really concerns me.
I do think that part of it is, I mean, we're really working on getting, you know, NISA back to, you know, high percentage, 94%, like I said, graduation rate we're hitting at, on-track graduation, those things. And I do think that our trend line this year for academics is going to start going, rather than being stagnant, we're going to be in the right direction. And so we'll take care of our house first, that's what I'm telling you. Yeah.
Okay, you know, 'cause I'm always concerned about how those scores are,
Yeah.
how our kids are doing.
And there's some outstanding districts around us that they're getting it done too, and so we can do it.
I just, I'm gonna say from like my perspective of being in the statewide school, we have a lot of kids who are missing semesters. And so that doesn't, I mean, we have a student who started with us and hasn't been enrolled in school in 6 years. And I know the 8th grade ELE teacher that I work with said her kids cannot find the main topic or the main point of a reading passage. They can't write a 5-paragraph essay. So that's what we're seeing across the state. But in good news, when I did my student teaching here, we were doing the race, the recall, answer, citation, explain. Students that started in NISA, even if they didn't turn in great work, they were able to complete it. Students that came from other districts or out of state were unable to complete it the way we asked. So our students are getting those foundational skills, just maybe not where we'd like everybody as a whole to be, but definitely noticed that.
And that's not an indictment of this, that's just, you know,
Oh, no,
it's frustrating
it's
to
the
live in
system,
our
right?
entire,
Yeah, absolutely
our entire
correct.
state.
So, like I said, there is definitely some blue skies from us achievement-wise. That, I mean, that's, all of our data that we're looking at is showing that we're gonna start incrementally making up that ground. And, so actually Shane and I had a really good conversation about it, so it is, to mark this day, right? So, remember on the board when we really talked about that and you promised it, anyway, then that's, so I will say that it is looking way, way better for us academically.
Back to the calendar.
Yes.
I too have heard a lot of negative comments about going into June. But, because I talked to you about taking
Yeah.
time out of the Christmas break,
Yeah.
or winter break and stuff. So, let's try it and see what happens.
Because we're going into June this year, right?
The teachers are going into June, yeah.
The teachers are.
Yeah, but
The
not
teachers
kids.
always go into June.
Yeah, and so that won't be a change in there, we're just having those 4 days, so.
Right. And I guess I'm still on my preference from what I'm told by people is observe on Fridays. Yes, there are some people who are gonna have that time off, but the school district, if we're going on the Monday but observing on Friday, the teacher schedules are gonna be the same. Teachers who have kids will still be with their kids. I mean, we're talking about people who work for government and banks are the only ones who might be affected by that. Everybody else, for the most part, is going to work on holidays. There's exceptions, but they're less. People in Adrian seem to really like observing on Fridays. People in Harper seem to love the observance on Fridays. People here don't want to go in June. And I mean, some of the comments have been, my kids will go to Adrian, or my kids just won't go in June. And, I don't want to set us up in a situation where people are so mad about June when there is an alternative.
And I would look at is one is that mindset of June, right? Like, what is it, right? Summer school's still going, like, I mean, there's, like, what is that mindset of 4 days in June? And that's what I would ask, is if you take the word June out of it, like what's the stopping for, like if I told people like, hey, we won't start until, or if I took graduation another week, it's like, anyway, that would be my question.
Sure. I think the mindset is you have July as the only month that is a complete month off from school. That's it under the schedule. People's vacation planning, people who prefer, people go and do more when the weather's nice than they do during the winter months. And so you're limiting more of that nice weather time by having them go in June. Yeah, it's only 4 days, but that's a week. That's a quarter of the month. When you look at it from actual days in school. And so, again, you have July. That's it as far as a full month.
So would that change if we didn't go in June? Right, because summer
Well,
school
then you'd
still
have
starts
June.
then.
Then you have June and July.
Well, but I mean, but you get what I'm saying, like if there's 4 days, if you didn't go there, like you'd still have your all of June, right? Like, I mean, it's 4 days.
It is 4 days.
No, I get it.
But
Yeah.
people don't like it. That's what
Yeah.
I'm being told.
Yeah.
People are mad about
Did
those
you
4
tell them,
days.
well, if you get your your kids to school or you show up to work, we wouldn't have to go to June. Like, I mean, really, that's what it is, right? At the end of the day, it is. I mean, people aren't showing up on those days, and we are not effective enough. And I mean, like I said, where we're at academically, it's like we cannot keep giving up and seeing poor test scores coming out of, you know, NISA and Oregon. Like, and so that's what we're saying is like, we have to take that back.
But we're not giving up on it, and maybe the obverse would be the problem, maybe people will not send their kids to school on holidays. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what Harper's experience is that, or Adrian's experience is with that. But if we do substitute the Monday for the Friday, then they're just not going on the Friday that they wouldn't normally go on anyway. So. Thoughts?
Yeah. Any other thoughts or questions?
When I asked a few parents, and they said that the teachers are allowed to have the Friday off so they can schedule their appointments and stuff like that. Instead of missing school one day of the week from Monday to Thursday to schedule a certain appointment, why not do it on Friday? They know they're not gonna work Fridays. My kids know they're gonna have a school Friday, so I will schedule all the appointments on Friday.
That was, yeah, that was the
Like,
that was the intent going in, and some people do a great job as they can, but there's a lot of doctors now that are no longer taking appointments on Friday.
Especially in this area,
Yeah.
because they have kids, and
And so they're getting off too, but there's also is like, well, that's my free time, I have sick time, anyway, and so, I mean, there's just a myriad of things,
Yeah.
right, is
Well,
availability.
like I said, when I asked them, they're like, well, why not? I mean, their moms too, their dads, they can have the Friday off and take their kids to the appointments or schedule appointments.
And there's, like I said, there's a lot of staff members that do an amazing job of it, right?
So, attendance wise though, staff attendance was down on Fridays and student attendance was
Yeah.
also down on Fridays, or has been.
Yeah. By quite a bit.
Quite a bit is like 80% attendance.
Yes, for students, and then, like I said, the last one, the staff was under the 70%, low 70s. So, like I said, we had Smile too, and so there's a couple things, but yeah, we were at 70%.
So why is attendance so far off for students on that particular Friday when they have had a Monday off?
There's a couple reasons. One is that, it's like, I know it sounds easy for us, right? Once you have a day off, you have Friday, right? It's 4 days a week. You're going to go to school 4 days a week. If you don't go on Monday, you will go on Friday. For families to start tracking that, because again, you know, there's a lot of them that are working Mondays and those ones, so they're like, oh, it was a holiday, you know, and so so really, it's like, is this Friday off? Is that Friday off? So just there's the non-consistency of that. I think is gets in the way of attendance. So.
Well, I still think the option would be to take out some of the other vacation time if they really want those 4 days in June. So that's.
And I do
my
think
thought.
that, you know, you could kind of say that is like, you know, hey, we had some days, you know, right, so you can enjoy more summer, we take some during Christmas off, or those things. I think we will inevitably have the same pushback.
Because
Well, I want to go somewhere, and then a lot of our families do go south for the winter, not having that, and so there's a give and take somewhere. So it has to be somewhere, and that's what I would say, is it has to be somewhere.
How many Fridays do the other districts go right now? Like Adrian and Dale?
I don't think Adrian goes any Fridays, do they?
They all don't do it because we just saw these kids on Friday and I'm like, okay, you guys go to school? No, we don't go to school Friday no matter what.
No Friday.
So
Yeah,
then
Vail
how,
doesn't do.
and do they end the same? I mean, I'm just trying to figure out why their calendars aren't meshing with ours. Like, what are we doing differently that it's not?
We're taking those like Veterans Day on Tuesday, or the 11th, right?
Uh-huh.
We're taking that off on a Tuesday rather than taking it off on a Friday. And so it is really Labor Day, Veterans Day, President's Day, and what's in January? MLK. And so those are those four days.
We've got 8 altogether, don't we?
Yeah, cause we have, well, in there you put Christmas and
Oh,
New Year's
yeah.
and Thanksgiving and,
So two, that, three that don't count anyway.
So then you can't do it like freshmen, like the first semester freshmen eat on campus. So maybe like the first 4 Fridays of the year, there's school, and then you're free after that because we met.
That's not a bad idea.
that's
Yeah,
really not a
just
bad idea at all.
Thinking out loud
Wow.
here.
I really like that idea.
I like that idea as well, so, but yeah, so,
Bell's school calendar, if they have the holiday, they go on Friday for this school year.
Yeah.
I like that one because you're getting in like,
Like the
four,
first
establishing,
4 Fridays?
yeah.
Yeah.
Establishing, I think Four Rivers does that. I'm pretty sure Four Rivers does, but right, a new semester, you're establishing that. And so I think that's what they do.
And maybe if attendance is low, roll it into like a snow day, makeup day, or, I don't know, just getting creative here.
By the way, we have a day in June now, come, anyway, so,
Or I have to
Wow.
extend it for a
Was
fifth
it
Friday.
Klamath Falls, they added 7 minutes to their school day for the rest of the year.
I just made it up, sure. Once you start adding time, it's a whole nother ballgame.
Exactly.
What can you do? I'm just getting creative.
Everybody
Yeah.
says
No,
stares at the clock.
I like the creativeness, and I know that's what it is, like I said, Four Rivers does that, is because that was, I'm good with it, it's just, it has to be somewhere.
Or you can move graduation.
Yeah.
We've tried that before, but if you move graduation,
Then it's a whole different thing,
Yeah.
right, then it's not 2 weeks without seniors.
Yeah.
Right.
And so,
But that's good, because remember we had to go
Bill
to state.
actually has a.
Right, we have to run back
every
the
month.
graduation.
oh, yeah, they have a part in Richmond Friday, is it half for everybody and then half for,
Yeah,
yeah.
half day for enrichment and half
Yeah.
day for, but every single month they have 1 week that they go Fridays.
Well, I love Maribel's idea, get those 4 Fridays in and.
Really good.
and be done.
Yeah.
I mean, and
And,
at that time of year, kids want to be together anyway.
And I think
Well.
we just have to sell it as like, this is why we're doing this, because people don't want to go into June, so you have to start showing up on these Fridays.
and really, at open house and orientation, get it out of the way for 4 Fridays.
I will say that there is a lot of teachers on the other side that actually enjoy, saying actually, I'd love to go into June, like I said, it makes it better for kind of teaching, summer slide, and I said, hey, this is why, makes sense to us, totally good with it. Most of them work summer school, and we're like, we don't care, we're working all June. And so, and that's really been kind of conversations, kind of walk down the hallway, hey, you see the new calendar, what are your thoughts? Well, why is this? And explain, oh, that makes sense, yeah, totally, yeah, let's do that, right? I mean, so, there are, I think you're living on both sides, right? Some in favor, they understand why, some are like, well, why June? And so,
I mean, and I look at it too is, on the other side of the state, they go till the 12th of June, but they start
Labor
the,
Day.
the day after Labor Day, but they go 5 days a week.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I think it's just really explaining the why, as opposed to this is why, we're just gonna do it.
yeah.
And really get that buy-in from the community of like, this is why we're doing this, people need to show up on Fridays, or we're gonna go into June, or you're gonna start going Fridays. Like, they have to understand the consequence of, like, why they're,
Yeah, this is the thing we'll get the biggest kickback from families about, is the calendar.
Because, I mean, even like, say the 12th, you have that of September where it's homecoming. I mean, that could be a Friday that you go. You have 1 5-day week because it's homecoming.
And that was, remember we did try to do that this year, and there was some things, and they want it to be on that Friday because because what happens, right, there's flows and all those things, is saying, we may not have as much, but it's actually better controlled and safer for us. And families can be out there with their kids, and so it's not like try to pelt kids through the fences as hard as you can with candy. And so it does become more of kind of a traditional parade, and more families can actually enjoy that. With right now, right, is a lot of families, they can't enjoy it with their kids, and so we want to try that.
So if we were gonna add the 4 days, we're looking at September 5th, right?
It has to be, so with Maribel's idea, it'd be the 22nd, 29th, and 5th. And then we can find another Justin's idea, it would be really, you're going on the first, going on the 11th, the 19th, and the 16th.
Oh, and I'll take my idea back. I like Maribel's idea. I really do.
And there can be nothing done then with the 12th as being the fourth Friday in a row? Because that's.
Oh, yeah, no, we could absolutely do that. I mean, that was our thought, right, is that essentially, you know, there'd be a little more controlled area, and more families can enjoy the parade together, and we could actually, maybe run something at night rather than during the day, so, but yeah, but totally, we're good. Basically, at the end of the day, we will do whatever it takes to get kids and staff here together, and we work our butts off to hire some really good teachers, but they're no good if nobody's sitting in front of them or they're not in front of their kids. And so, at the end of the day, that's what it is. So, but I really like that, establishing that 5 days rigor, getting it done.
Just get it done at the beginning and.
And it might, I mean, and there might be a little bit, because we're, you know, the commitment of the athletic department is to do all games on Fridays, right, on non-school days. We might have a little issue with athletes on those first
Yeah,
four,
but
but
if
that's
you do
okay.
it early enough, some of those games have hardly started.
Yeah, because I think
Yeah.
blue and white is on the 22nd, I want to say. So anyway, yeah, I mean, if you're looking, that we should be pretty good on that. So I will bring that to admin tomorrow, and I will have that feedback. So it's going to be one of two and I will recommend just one of two. It's either this one or that 4 Fridays in there, but I will be recommending one to you guys. Sound good?
Okay.
Good. I like that. So thank you.
See, that's why this is a good work session.
Yep.
Okay, since we've worked on the calendar part, let's move on to the policy updates. Everyone's looked at the policies, and I know that Jasmine has really looked at the policies.
Yes. Megan has done a lot of work on these policies. She was going policy crazy today. I don't know if it's a thing, but, so thank her for all the work on there. So I want to kind of leave it up to you guys. We have them all on here. Megan put them all together in a place I can kind of put them up. We can kind of go through and look at them. You have all these copies where you see the changes. They're up here as well. There's two ones so you'll see on this, she actually wrote on there, like, right, no employees version. So there's more notes on this one right here. Does everybody have this one, or is it just me? That's just me. Don't listen to it. That's just me. What I want to highlight, just really quick, I want to highlight, so if you look at your policies, AC, what you have on that top one right there, AC, which is your non-discriminating civil rights one, that one is the same as the November 2024 one, so one we previously looked at. I don't think we adopted though, correct?
So we adopted one of them, we reverted back, but then after we did that, OSBA came back and sent us another email with more instructions. So on AC, ACAR, GBN, JBA, and the AR for that, and then JFE. I think you guys get those emails too.
Yeah.
There
for
was
more
further
than-
instructions of the exact ones we needed to revert back to, so.
And that's with the court decision on that Title IX, which we've been discussing and looking at. GBN, GBN, and you'll see down there these next ones, all of those reverting back basic on OSBA's recommendation. Not only the 2024 that Megan was talking about, but also the GBN, JBA, the federal law around Title IX, reverting back to the 2020 update. And then the JBA, GBN1 and JBA, GBN, oh my gosh, that's why she went crazy, as you can see. Those are all the 2020 updates as well, and then the JFE is a version from this is April of 2021. So you'll see those ones here. That's the recommendations that you'll see in there were based on everything the OSBA sent us out. And if you guys, did you guys get this OSBA policy update, Title IX affecting policies and administrative regulations? if not, I can send this around. I got a person one says Dear Ryan on it, so it should be filled like, you know, Dear Jasmine or Dear Patricia, so just for you to know, so that is those recommendations. We could go through them all if you guys would like to. You do have access to where you can see all the edits in there. We just want to make sure that you guys feel confident next board meeting to adopt these. This is our third reading? Is that? Third reading on it, and so we're looking to adopt at this point. And I want to make sure you guys have as much information that you feel comfortable with that.
Jasmine, go ahead. Do you have any
What?
concerns about?
Like I said, I have the ones that are no, yes, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, we probably ought to discuss them. Maybe if there's some you're saying no, I don't think I say no.
No,
to
yeah,
any
but,
of these, but
yeah,
there's a
yeah.
lot of changes that
Yes.
have gone through.
And there's some already that deleted, so it's like, okay, they're not.
And I felt like in all of them, they just changed like the wording. Just right through, yeah.
Pull this up so you guys can see it.
Are we gonna go through each one individually or just?
I'm gonna do some bulk ones so you can kind of see the edits that I put in there so you guys know, but it's totally up to you. If I can do my screen share.
At 8:30.
I know, I'm working.
Oof.
I do this.
You don't even want to look through my notes then.
I swear I did all of it.
I'm sure you have.
Oh, it just says completed. I can't read. I was like all worried about it. I was like, I swear I did these already. Yes, I've done those. They're really good. My work and some of mine, I download the end of it, the certificate, so that
I
it.
got a new computer, so I'm trying to get my screen share.
Oh, I was like.
Apologize, I'm late.
Okay, were there any of these policies that any of you had questions?
Got lots.
You're asking the question there. He's the only one that really understood word by word, so he will have a lot of questions.
But I don't think that's true.
The civil rights book kept, that was one of my questions.
It's gonna go here.
Yeah, were you taking feelings?
Oh,
Yeah.
just, the forms are online,
Maybe.
so if
Wait.
people want to, write it in print, they go to the office and get a form, or they can print it out on their own and sign it.
And I think you're supposed to keep, I think that's what it's received, you keep a binder with them logged in there. You know what I'm talking about?
Food service has a
Yes.
civil rights complaint.
Where is that kept?
In Gina's office. Gina White, not yours, Gina Fritz.
Oh, the other Gina?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's what my question was. I'm like, doesn't really say where it's kept, but.
Oh.
So you'll see, this is what the
We have
policies
those
will
complaints.
look like if you guys can see it. So Megan and I were working through these. You'll see like, so it says right here, this is the recommendation for us. They recommended like which one's in the brackets. We went through and like you'll see here, right? Take that out, put that one in, that one goes out, those go out. So you'll see where the edits are and it tells you what the edits are and our recommendations based on. So like this one, I just pulled up the first one, it's CD, right? Delete footnote, then you gotta here delete that, and that was really that whole policy.
So,
Yeah, let's go with one, which one is the medication policy, or the,
JHCD is the medication policy.
that's one, oh, I just need to bring it
Hi, Crystal.
I tried to do them in order and it was not cooperating.
JCD?
up. This one's just- So like right here, you'll see this. So as you know, the brackets will be in there, right? You pick one, and so you'll see which ones we picked, right? The principal or school nurse. We took out the
So you're in JHCDAR right now?
I was on both JHCD, yeah, the regular JHCD medication, that was the first one, and the AR is the second one I was in.
Okay, I've got a couple thoughts on both of those. So JHCD,
Okay?
6th paragraph down, is talking about abuses. Children might be able to self-administer. All right, I'll just read it. The district may revoke permission given to a student to self-administer medication if the student does not responsibly self-administer the medication or abuses the use of medication is determined by district personnel. Shouldn't it be the district's licensed healthcare professional or designated personnel? Because there's a different definition for designated personnel than just personnel. I mean, district personnel could mean any teacher, any aide could tell a student you're no longer able to self-carry, self-administer. I think it should be made by the school's licensed healthcare professional or the designated personnel.
So determined by designated district personnel,
Right.
So we're here.
right there.
Yep.
I should put that. Are you in there right now, Mindy?
No, I'm trying to get in there.
Let me do
Just
this.
being slow.
See that in there? Do you see that? Perfect. Let's see anywhere else on there?
Okay, not on that one. I've got some on the JHCDAR. I think you just showed us where you circled principal or school
Yeah.
district. You made that selection, so now we've got that one. And on page 7. And this is a question. This isn't necessarily something I say we need to revise this, but in section, what is that, 7A3B, just section B, sorry, didn't need to go through all that. So section 7, subsection B on page 7, says a determination will be made by the district on if or when the student may self-carry. Do we need a list of medications or headings that we say children will not be able to self-carry, period, on these, like opioids?
So any time that there is any sort of medication or anything like that, they have to check them in the office unless usually there's like a inhaler, there's an injectable, like insulin or a EpiPen. Other than that, that's the only time we really say like this is an emergency you can carry.
Okay.
So
Okay.
but we have a list of all of those things, but technically when a student brings Tylenol on school grounds, they are required to check it into the office and say, hey, I have this, because you don't know, unfortunately, like, oh, you got a headache? Yeah, here, take,
Right.
and so yeah, anytime there's any sort of.
So we're really not letting kids carry?
No.
Okay.
And like I said, unless, we get something from the doctor saying, hey, they need to do it this time, they can do it on their, we do that, or they just need to be monitored by us. But yeah, so,
Okay.
yeah. There's even one on there about sunscreen, but we took it out. Students may not, or with the direction, was it like with the direction of the health
It was
professional?
just pretty much saying that they could use sunscreen, but there's a certain type too that I
Yeah.
can't remember, somewhere in here. It was just weird to me.
We took it out. So, anyway.
That's all on those two.
So the next one, you want to look at that AC really quick? And this is that revert back to 2024.
So I didn't even go through the first, I think, what is it, 5 or
Okay.
6? Because they're all reverting back.
Yeah,
right?
reverting back
So I
to what's
didn't
already,
even look
okay.
at those.
Okay, so then,
Honestly, the first one for me would be GCBDA, GDBDA, AR1.
oh, you said AR one?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the medical leave, family medical leave on there.
Yeah.
AR. Yes.
So right after the interlineations, you've got a paragraph that says an employee is eligible to take, about halfway down the page. Why don't we keep that at 180? I mean, if that's what the law requires, this one is an employee is eligible to take leave for any purpose of OFLA during a period of time covered by public health emergency. And that would mean even brand new hires can automatically go right into OFLA.
Yeah.
Why not make?
Isn't
I
that
mean,
the state?
Yeah, it's a state law. They're eligible as soon as they step foot on this campus.
Okay, but they're not in the paragraph above. This is only when there's a public health emergency.
What paragraph are we on?
So it's right
This is-
before the number one,
Yeah.
halfway down the page.
Generally.
Public health emergency.
So in one place, we've got a requirement.
I see what you're saying. I was, yeah.
And maybe it is, maybe there is a law that says they have to be allowed to when there's a public health emergency, but
Because I think that with, I want to say with OFLA and FMLA, don't you have to be working for, like you still get your sick time, right? But you can take that leave right away.
right, so it's that
Yeah.
requirement in the paragraph just
Yeah.
above where you've got some crossouts. I think that is what the law is on it.
Yeah.
So now why ease it up just because there's a public health emergency?
And I don't know if that's a required by law situation.
Okay,
Yeah.
it might be, I don't know either.
That there's,
So-
and that could be, I would imagine they put that in there for a reason.
Okay, I'm not dead set
Yeah.
against it, it just,
There is a footnote, that,
30 days are going to declare a public health emergency.
if you go to number
What says the
2,
requirements
footnote.
of OFLA do not apply to any employer offering eligible employees a non-discriminatory.
That's,
I mean, to me, that exception just totally swallows the rule, because the rule is in the paragraph above it already, and this is saying employees work for the district for an average of 25 hours per week in the 30 days immediately. So I guess it reduces it from 180 to 30.
in a public health.
Yeah. So maybe that is an update in the OARs.
I'll pull the OARs and send that to you guys. Maybe
It was just weird,
remind me tomorrow.
because most of these policies, if there's an ORS or an OAR that applies, it says so, and it doesn't in that
Yeah.
one. So to me, that's kind of, is that just OSBA saying, we're gonna overreach and just be a little nicer here than what the law requires us to do? That was my thought,
Yeah.
since there's no citation to a law.
And right, they usually will have something stated on the bottom for them. So, I'll pull the ORS on it and see what it says, and then highlight it for you guys. So, kind of.
Perfect.
Anything else on that one?
So, yeah, on page 2 of it, that big highlighted paragraph says, when an employee requests OFLA leave or when the district acquires knowledge that an employee's leave may be for a purpose that constitutes OFLA. I don't think that's what the law is. I think the law is that the employee has to notify the school as soon as they possibly can. I mean, it's supposed to be before they take the OFLA, but if it's an emergency, then they've got to notify within so many hours. But what this language is if the district acquires knowledge, who in the district has to acquire that knowledge? I mean, if a teacher tells their friend who tells another employee at the school who tells the principal, now the school is on the hook for OFLA leave when they haven't even been notified through the proper channel, that seems kind of crazy to me. And how do you prove when the school district acquired knowledge if it wasn't through the written notification that OFLA already requires?
I'm gonna send in who at the district, right? So the
Right.
principal will write something on Facebook, does that, or
Right.
a coworker get something on Facebook, right?
Right.
I mean, I don't know.
So I don't love that paragraph. I think it should just be when an employee requests OFLA leave or gives notice to the district as required in OFLA.
Could we put in or give an official notice to?
Required notice.
Yeah. gives notice as required by OFLA statutes.
And there's part of it is right, so something happens to, you know, a general employee, right? They don't know, right, to even OFLA or FMLA is even a thing, and so, and that's when we reach out and say, hey, did you know you're eligible for this? You don't have to take it, you don't have to apply for it, but, and so I think that is, we run into that more than anything, because just employees don't know, like, oh, you know, like, I just broke my arm, or, you know, like, and, anyway, so just,
And I think that's right. We should be a good employer.
yeah.
We should treat our employees right. We should tell them, hey, this is available to you. I just hate having a situation in there where we've got vague knowledge, and so now we're bound to act in a certain way. Because I agree, even if that were to say, or when the employee gives notice as required by OFLA, then the district is bound. I still think the district's policy should be to notify employees when, and maybe I'm just reading it too literal.
No, no. And that's the reason why you're on this. So and that will be something I will go further into as well.
Okay.
And can we change that enough, or does it, I mean, like I said, sometimes it does come out of OER. Because,
Right.
yeah, I'll look into that as well, and we'll get that to you.
So I don't think that's in the OAR.
Yeah, if
I dealt
it's
with an
not-
OFLA issue fairly recently. I am not giving legal advice, but I don't think that's the way it reads.
Yeah. So I'll check that one too. Perfect.
I think that's it for that one.
Anybody else have any questions on that one? Okay. Next one?
I think I kind of answered my question on, so the last 5 would be GDBDF. It's paid family and medical leave insurance. So there's already an ORS and OARs on that, right?
Yeah.
Is the purpose of the policy just so teachers are aware that's the law?
I think I mean, it's not for them to know that this is law. I think it is part of, one, we have to make some pretty clear decisions on, like, when we want our years to start, when, you know, what are the policies that, is it a rolling year, is it a calendar year? 2, is that, are we allowing them to take more than their, you know, 80% of that day? What else is there that we have to pick that are required?
And that's fine. I mean, I guess I get it. It's just a matter of this is how we're going to operate within the law. And
Yeah.
if there's any question, go to this. Okay.
And then really that's what it is, so. Which other ones are you guys looking at? I did talk about this, IKF, it's not on there, see, we need to do a large overhaul of our whole policy, to match our requirements. So just their updates was just adding in personal finance and career, exploration quotes. Our policy does not reflect our practice right now because we have, and I know we've talked about this, computer apps, elective, or not elective, or yeah, we have an increased elective, what's it called? Advisory, anyway, that's what we're requiring. It does not say that in our policy, and so we need to make it as such. So anyway, that's the only reason why you don't see IKF in there. So. Any other questions on any other policies?
Sorry, I'm not.
No, like I said, this is your guys' time. So it's IIA.
instructional materials. So.
I have all my IIAs all the way through as a weight on that.
Yeah, the weight.
Yeah.
Oh, well, they weren't on the one I had, so.
Yeah, that's a later, maybe.
Okay, so,
And that's, my recommendations on it is that we wait, I need to gather some more things, and so that's why.
okay. No, that's fine.
You don't see that, that's my recommendation.
That'll save a bunch of time, 'cause there's a lot of
Yeah.
IIAs.
Yes, there
We
are.
already talked about IKF, where that's a wait.
Yep.
That's why you gave us this, right?
Yeah.
So we will,
Okay, IKFB,
Okay, FB, yes.
graduation exercises.
Yes.
So number 2 toward the bottom, actually I guess it's below number 2, but graduating students will be allowed to wear Native American items of cultural significance or other items of cultural significance. Do we need to put a no weapons provision in there? Because there's a lot of weapons that are cultural significance. I can remember grade school, we had, so growing up in Blackfoot, we bordered on the Shoshone-Bannock Reservation. We had powwows at our schools growing up, all sorts of cool stuff. We had a guy come and do an assembly one day, and he brought a shield and also a weapon, and he was showing us how strong these buffalo hide shields could be after they would cure them. And I still remember it was a club built out of the knee joint of a buffalo, and he hit that shield so hard you would think it would shatter. But I mean, those were items of cultural significance to him. So are atlatls, so are bows and arrows. So, you know, do we need to have a restriction in there with an exclusion for weapons?
We could add in there that doesn't violate other policy, because weapons, I mean, you could
Right.
go as far as saying drug or other, I mean, right, or even,
Can you have as approved?
yeah. I
I
would
would
say,
get shaky too, though.
yeah, I would just
yeah.
say, yeah.
Based
if-
on the other policies.
Yeah, I like what you said.
On the other policies, there's also the dress code, right? It's like, you know, if there's, well, my so-and-so owns a distillery, and this is culturally relevant for me to have, you know, you get what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what it is, but, so, that doesn't violate, I could put that in there,
Yeah,
right?
I like
It
that.
doesn't violate, other policies on there. Does that sound good on there?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and not the pickup system. And if there is, you know, an issue with that, and they say, well, you know, this violates that, then we can handle that, but I think we'll be able to catch all, so,
Go ahead.
that's good.
I like that.
Perfect, yep.
So next one be, oh, wait till we've done writing.
Yep.
Okay, so JBA, GBN, sexual harassment, page. Actually, starting on page 1, bottom, oh, sorry,
No,
I'm not.
It's gonna, I didn't add the JBs, I just added the GBN ones, because they're the exact same, they're just referenced in 2 sections of the policy book, so
Oh, I
you're
see. So-
only gonna have GBN in the,
so the GBN is the same as the JBA, because it's the same one, right? Okay, so, go to this one. Correct?
yeah,
Yeah.
and what.
Because they're the same.
Dustin,
JBA,
what you might have in your packet isn't what we're reverting back to, because OSBA came back after you had your packet.
Ah,
Sorry.
no, that's fine, because, yeah, I'm looking at it, and it's totally
just
different.
different.
So, maybe I don't have anything to say on it, I'd have to look at that one. So is that one in the Google Docs now?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm trying to think if I added, I mean, they're the same policy, whether it's GBN, JBA, or JBA, GBN, but I think I added those in there, the ones that because I clarified with OSBA today, to make sure I had the right reversion.
Okay. Because there were some real problems in this one.
Whatever, revision.
Okay, and that,
Jeez, it's a late night.
Okay, well, I guess I'll get on and look at it elsewhere, but like some of this language in this one was, the schools to do an investigation, and they're to turn them over to TSPC if they may have committed the act of sexual harassment. Well, may have is a pretty loose term to potentially ruin somebody's career. I think there needs to be a higher standard than may, but it's not the policy, so.
yeah, and well, and that's part of the law too, the ORS, is it any, I mean, if we do have any sort of complaint or anything of sexual harassment, we have to turn it into TSPC, so, or OBE.
And I get that if there's a complaint, but it just says if there's reasonable cause to believe the person may have committed an act of sexual harassment. Well, if the law is, if a complaint's made, you turn it in, that's what it should be. Instead of do an investigation and then determine if it might have happened. Well, anytime there's a complaint, it might have happened. But anyway, again, it's apparently that one's no good anyway.
So, yeah, so,
okay, so JECA. Check it.
yes.
That one's got two places. We can't just pass it. We actually have to make a decision on will or will not, two spots on that one. Right?
We took out all of those and we just kept it to what it currently is now. Right, the district may based on criteria.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then on 9, is that the way you did it on 9
Yep.
too? Okay.
Yep.
I'm good with that. It's one of those things you just can't pass it like that because we have to make that selection.
Yeah, so that's what we did on that one.
Okay. I already talked about, did we talk about JHCD? No, we didn't yet.
Medications,
It's,
yeah, we did that one and the EMR. Yeah, we talked about
you're right. Okay, got those. JHFFGBNAA. Well, which this one, my only comment doesn't really, it may not be applicable anyway because there was some definition in the JBA, GBN that I thought should apply here too, but if we're reverting that JBA back, then this comment might not make any sense anyway. I wouldn't know until I go back and look at the new JBA.
I may have forgot to put that one in that new drive for you.
It was part of the
JHFF,
December
GBN.
2024.
So what did you have on there that you were?
Oh,
Well,
I
so
had
just
it on mine.
in a footnote, it says student conduct may only
You're
be
in a
sexual
different
conduct if
folder.
the student
I
is
made
also an
a
employee,
different
contractor,
one with all
agent,
the
or volunteer.
edits.
And I was going to add, except as specified in policy JBA,
It should be the
GBN,
same.
because it goes in and makes definitions of
Up there.
student sexual harassment. So I assume JBA probably still ties back to student sexual harassment, but that was a, that was a problem in this JBA also, was that it didn't really differentiate between teacher to teacher sexual harassment, student to teacher, student to student. So, but like I said, I'm gonna have to go back and look at the new JBA to know if that even applies anymore.
Rain, I don't think it's, I think I forgot to add it because it was another, it came out in another sheet. I may have missed adding that one.
Wow.
So what you're looking at in there is except for is defined in GBNA, J.
Right, because, and I understand this, JHFF really is talking about employees, contractors, agents, et cetera, but then it also goes in and says, but this doesn't cover student sexual conduct because student sexual conduct or it can only be sexual conduct if they're an employee, contractor, agent, or volunteer. But if you have it defined this way in this policy, but a different way in another policy, this one needs to defer to that one. It's just, the two policies are related, but they don't tie together to say this one is superseded by the other policy. And so, because this as it is would just say, there is no such thing as student improper sexual conduct. Whereas the other one says, but there really is, so.
So, except as defined in GBNA/JBA? Is that what you're looking at?
JBA/, well, I don't know, I had GBN. JBA
Or
slash
JBN, or
GBA.
so GBN/JBA, correct?
Yes.
Is that what you have on it?
No, JBA/GBN.
He has it the other way around, but it's the same.
Yes.
But yeah,
Yeah, that's what it,
Yeah.
so those two policies just need to
Okay.
reference.
That one's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
except for as defined in that policy. Got it. Yep.
I just shared it with you if you wanted.
I'm done, other than I want to go back and look at the JBA on there.
Yeah.
I did it the old fashioned way and did it in paper. Instead of the way Crystal told us, I think you told us, you had them all uploaded on here.
It's okay, because
So, that's my bad.
I drove myself crazy today going back and forth, and so if there are any questions on that drive, because I have copies of copies flying everywhere on my desktop that we have edited and then gone back again, and so if anything doesn't look right on the drive, let me know.
Will do. No, thank you very much.
Thank you, well working with Lisa. And I appreciate you guys attending this to the detail, right? I mean, that, it does make a difference, so thank you for your time on that.
Who doesn't have a blast doing this?
I don't know, I would say everybody but one person in this room. If I were gonna
It was
I
fun.
don't know, it's not joking.
I was babysitting, it was just
Yeah.
reading it there over and over.
Okay, so, policy updates, you will update us again at our regular meeting on the discussion. Right, and you'll check, make sure.
I might be blown at this point.
Hey, we appreciate your doing that. Okay, then we'll move on to the board report. The spelling bee, which is March 13th, I just wanted you to know about that. Parent-teacher conferences. At the last parent-teacher conference, there was a college fair, and some of us attended or were at the high school parent-teacher conference, and it was kind of interesting. And I would just like to suggest, if possible, if we could make an appearance at the parent-teacher conferences, just so parents can see, yes, there is a board. You know.
We like a table for you. Don't just show up.
Yeah.
I normally have to show up anyway.
Not to us to say, you have enough of them.
Oh, that's right.
But,
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun, talking to the parents, being very visible, but just sitting there and saying, hey, even if you could do like 30 minutes, we'll have a table out there in the elementary, middle, and high school. Like ask a board member, we have a little sign or something, you know, I mean, just anything. And they could sit there and say, man, well, why are you making us go in June? Or why are you making us go, you know, like, I mean, and again, and you'll see, most of them is just they're smiling, they're just glad that for what you do for the community, and then they just want to say hi. And so if you could donate any sort of time to being that, I would be very, very appreciated by the community.
Yeah, it would be, I mean, it was just kind of nice, because people all of a sudden saw your face. So,
They were asking what exactly was the school board doing there?
Mhm.
What was your job? Why are they there? Or
yeah, what is your job?
Yeah.
So, but no, it was, helps our family engagement, I think. So,
So if you guys, so I will have a table out there in all buildings, and if you guys are sitting there, great. If you're not, great as well. But try to make
okay,
it
we
around
could
and
possibly
yeah.
sort of make I hate to put a schedule, but you know, so at least one of us is at least some of us make an appearance at each school, even for a few minutes.
Are we gonna try to do high school for the Spanish speaking? Because you have people in the grade school and you have some in the middle school, but I don't know about the high
We
school.
should have something better in high school.
Which, you know, when we were there, because you helped, you translated for a couple of those families who were just sort of, parents who were just sort of a little intimidated.
Yes.
So, which was kind of nice. It was very helpful, I thought. So, anyway. And then Classified Appreciation Week is this week.
This week started today.
Yes.
This week already feels like a full week.
Mhm.
No, it started today, yeah.
So, and you all are, the administration is doing something.
Yes, and we do have gifts from the school board as well, and if that's something you guys would like, if you have time to help distribute, that would be great, but we can go down and, I'm not gonna tell you what it is, because, you know, of all the people watching tonight, we don't wanna ruin the surprise. If you made it to this long, I guess you've earned it. No, so we'll get that out usually on Wednesday, correct, Megan, is when we try to
It's
do that?
whenever, if board members wanna come and help hand out, it's whenever.
Let us know what day you guys have selected, and we'll see.
Right
I
at
think I'm fairly open this week.
Somewhere around there, right at 8, it would be actually probably about 8:30 start, get everybody kind of,
We
get
can
the
do
craziness.
Wednesday.
Yeah, we'll do Wednesday, 8:30 if you would like to, and and then you could just help with one building and then leave, or you could, part of it is, I mean, it's not just buildings, right? It's our bus drivers, it's our maintenance, it's our child nutrition, and I mean, there's just so many classified employees that make this place go around. And I mean, if you guys were able to go out to the bus party, you know, that would mean a lot to them. And so, anyways,
So-
anything would be awesome.
Wednesday at 8:30, meet at the district office, and then,
And we'll
Go from
distribute.
there.
Yep.
okay? You can make it. And then special district elections,
Go to bus
which
party.
are coming up. 5 of us are up for re-election. I know that 4 of us have filed.
I'm really behind.
Yeah. If you do need help with that, let me know and I can take it over for you guys.
Like you did last time.
Well, last time it was, you know, there was a severe weather issue. And so, no, what was it? Yeah, wasn't it snowing? I forgot.
And I go over there every day.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
And
but he
so-
was like, okay, I can take you guys as, you know, I'm going, and never heard of it again.
I think there's like 3 feet.
Mine's still sitting on the table,
3 foot of snow on the ground.
waiting for it.
So that's, I'll go tomorrow. So,
I mailed mine and got it. Collins, they said, yeah, we got it.
that's perfect.
So,
Mine's still on my table, waiting for Mr. Hawkins.
Yeah, we'll go tonight and I'll wait outside on the blanket out there and just wait for him to open it. Jasmine. Okay.
okay, so are there any other comments or anything that we need to bring up, discuss, potentially discuss? So, okay, just need to get your reelection. I just thought I'd
I
throw
did
that-
find my packet.
I just thought I'd throw that out there. Okay, if there's no other business, this meeting is adjourned. By the way, the scone is really good.
It's really good. Like, that is the world's
Really
biggest
is
scone.
good.